From the dugout to the college admissions board, this is where the next generation of talent is forged. Welcome to the Recruiting Roundtable.
Hello, this is Mike Silvestri of the Recruiting Roundtable here with episode 6. And today we have a special guest that we're super excited about. We have Mike Cassidy from Marymount University in Arlington, Virginia. Welcome, Mike. I appreciate you during obviously a busy time of the year as the seasons, start with conference tournaments and all that type of stuff, taking the time out today, kind of why we're doing it in the afternoon, right, Mike? Because practice schedules and so on. So welcome. We're going to learn a little bit about Marymount University, and everyone's going to learn a little bit about you and all that type of stuff. So thank you for taking the time today. Greatly appreciated this. And we're going to kind of dive right in. We'll talk about how you and I have been able to develop a rapport and a relationship over the last few years and how that happened. But tell the audience, and we're going to educate people today about Division III baseball. We're going to educate them about your university, about yourself. And we don't have this in Florida. We don't have Division III athletics. And it's becoming for the kids that are good enough to play, it's becoming a very viable option for those that are willing to go with it, fit some academic criteria and all that type of stuff. So tell us a little bit about yourself, first off, how you got to where you're at today and how you're at Marymount University.
Oh, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you guys having me on and thinking of me and our program. We're in year number 13 of our program, so it's still a young program. I was an assistant for the first 8 years. I've been there since the program started, and this is my 5th year as the head coach. We love our Florida boys, so I can't wait to talk about Division III baseball and specifically our university and how it can be wide open for guys who can really play, especially in a state like Florida. I'm from Northern Virginia, so our school is located right on the border of DC. We're the northernmost county in Virginia. We're about 10 minutes away from DC without any traffic. I'm from the county just south of that, Fairfax County. Three sport athlete in high school: football, baseball, and wrestling. Got the opportunity to play in college down at Averett University for Ed Fulton, who I'm sure we'll talk about. I was on the 5-year or the 4.5-year plan to graduate, and we didn't get extra years back then to play of eligibility. So right when I finished up playing, I asked Coach Fulton if I could stay on and help, and I stayed for that whole year. Was his assistant with the hitters and worked with the outfielders, and just really loved coaching. I came back home. Averett's about 4 hours south of where I live. I came back home and started doing academies and travel teams. I got back home and I met some people, and I couldn't believe they would pay people $1,000 to coach 13-year-olds. And I was like, well, sign me up. So from there, I got into the academy business. Within 6 months, I was the guy I was working for. I kept harping on him to open up another academy, and I wanted to run it. And he took a chance on me, and we opened up another facility. So that was in 2005. So I've been owners of facilities and travel programs ever since 2005. Currently. I'm co-owner of a Metro Baseball Academy in Northern Virginia, and we do a lot of great stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I kind of get to dabble on both ends, because when I'm with the academy, I'm doing what you do. I'm trying to help players reach their goals of playing in college, and obviously on the recruiting side at Marymount. So started off with high school baseball, just as an assistant, and in 2013, a buddy of mine from Averett was asked to be the recruiting coordinator and pitching coach at this new startup baseball program at Marymount University. And we met for lunch, and I met with Coach Leone, and he hired me, and been here ever since.
Nice. So I'm going to tell the audience about how our relationship started. This business that I've been doing this for over 30 years. So, former high school head coach, former junior college head coach. and then have been in scouting at the Major League Baseball, different teams in different roles within scouting for the last 25 years. But the business itself was born in January of 22. And one of the players that we were looking to help place, who's on your roster now, catcher from down here in South Florida, Tommy, we're kind of going over some things. I knew the family very well. Our sons had played travel baseball together, and knew kind of what they were looking for in a university. And we came across yours, and I look at your bio online, and I'm like, oh, he played for Eddie Fulton. I'm calling Eddie. So who's Eddie Fulton? Eddie Fulton was a great player back in the day at Florida State in the early to mid 80s for Coach Mike Martin. One of my dear friends who's blowing my phone up now as we're doing this podcast because we're meeting for dinner tonight was the other catcher on that team. Eddie was the guy, right? Eddie was an All-American, Team USA guy, played a number of years in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. He just had a guy named Ted Simmons kind of roadblocking him to get to any big league time. But my friend was his good friend. My friend was a guy who caught and DH'd, and him and Eddie, played together during those years when they're going to Omaha every year and all that type of stuff. So I got on the phone with Eddie and said, hey, can you get me on a 3-way call or hook me up with this Mike Cassidy guy? He played for you. And I may start to be able to develop a relationship here with a program I think it may be able to fit some kids, especially some archdiocese kids and so on. And like I said, that gentleman, that buddy of his, we're meeting up tonight. He lives back in Tallahassee now, and we're meeting up tonight. And I'm sure we'll swap some old baseball stories and so on. So that's kind of how I was able to, to the audience, how I was able to meet Coach Cassidy. And then one of the things that I did early in the process was, and he was kind enough to do this with me, was I said, give me some of the things you're looking for. We don't have Division III baseball in the state of Florida. We don't have Division III athletics. So tell me what you're looking for, and like some measurables, some non-measurables, and that type of thing, just generalities. So when I'm calling about a player or sending video on a player, it's got a chance to be a fit, and then it's up to the school whether they think that that's going to work for them. So that was awesome when we did that. And I think Shane was on the staff at the time when we did that back then, who's now at James Madison, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Yes, Tim and I have actually had some dialogue about one of our New Jersey guys previously developed from this relationship here. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the culture and what the culture of Marymount University and the culture of the baseball program and what you're looking for when looking at a potential.
Yeah. We call it the deal. We have standards. We feel like we have very high standards, and like I don't want anybody to be confused. When we're recruiting and we're trying to win a national championship every year, that's the end all goal. But at the same time, at that same level of our standards, we want to use baseball to teach young men how to be productive, well-mannered, courteous professionals when they enter, great husbands, great fathers, whatever they want to do when they get into the real world. So, our standards and our culture really fit what our staff is trying to push into the real world for our country. We got 50 guys on the roster every year. So this is our opportunity to make an impact on their lives and other people's lives by hopefully, setting those standards, whether they enjoy them or whether they agree with them at all times. We have to remember, like, especially this team, this is a young team. This is the youngest team we've ever had. It's really great to see the progression every year of when it starts clicking with guys. And, my favorite thing is seeing guys, like we had our alumni day a week or two ago, and just seeing our guys come back and the men that they are in the world now. And, we our 3 main pillars are be professional, be humble, and be methodical. That's on the field, off the field, in the classroom, in the weight room, everything that we do. When we're on the road, nothing makes me more proud than when people come up and say, I'm always scared when they're like, are you the coach? When we're out on the road or something, and you get a compliment, your young man helped that old lady over there, or held the door for me, blah, blah, blah. So it all correlates. The thing I found over the years is the more you do those little things, the more you win. Your wins just start, you're successful on the field. So we're just trying to instill that, and every team is different, but we don't stray away from those standards, and our players have done a really good job of instilling those standards when we're not.
And I think, you know, talking about what you're talking about with your culture and everything, one of the things too that I know of is you guys have some really nice facilities. I believe the Nationals were involved in the complex and everything. And the other interesting part is like the Lynn University coach down here, Division II baseball legend, been down here forever. His daughter played volleyball there, and our daughters played a little bit of club volleyball together. And he talks about all the time the great experience she had as overall in the athletic department. And this is a guy who's been in college athletics. He's been at Lynn University for over 25 years. He was at Long Beach State before that. So he's been around the game a long time and understands the inner workings of college athletics. And he talks about how his daughter just loved the culture of the school, loved the culture of the athletic department, how the teams kind of knew of each other and supported each other and so on, but also the internship programs because of where you're located. And she now, I believe, I could be wrong, it's either the women's professional basketball team or the women's professional soccer team. She works full time for them. And that started as an internship that in the marketing. That's what she wanted to do. But the avenue was opened up by going to play volleyball at Marymount University. And I know when we talk to some players that we think may be a potential fit, that's one of the things I start asking, like, it doesn't have to be in the operations side of the sport. It could be on the marketing side, the business side, whatever. If you're looking to at a university as a whole, like how can baseball, the sport of baseball, open up future opportunities to you down the road? At the end of the day, pro baseball is not going to miss. If you're supposed to play professional baseball, we're going to find you. That's for anyone who says I should have and I could have and I would have. That's not true. You had your opportunity. You were passed over. Pro baseball doesn't swing and miss on who should get opportunities. But if we can use our sport, and the sport here we're talking about is baseball, to create opportunities for us in the future. And I know that Marymount has been able to do that. I've seen it, I've witnessed it. And that was one of the things when we had Matthew Greenberg, when we were talking, like, what do you want to do? If you want to be in the business world, there's a lot of things that can open up for you by continuing to play the game you love. Keep in mind, folks, this team was ranked last year. I believe you opened up the preseason #1 in the country. Like, these guys are really good. They can play. So now you get to play at a really high level, and you get to explore some in a really cool part of the country with all the political stuff that's around there and just the general, this is the heartbeat of the United States. And now you're involved in that whole culture and that environment. So, a lot that we don't get to experience here in the state of Florida, even we have we've got clients as far away as New Mexico, all the way up the Eastern Seaboard, when you can talk about different regions and what schools like Marymount can offer. So I think one of the interesting parts here, and I want you to talk about this and dab on it. We had a kid, same class as Tommy Ruella, who wound up going to a Division III school. And one of the things that really, he called me after his freshman year, and he's like, I got a lot of work to do. Like, these guys are really, really good. These guys can play. How do, from the point of like, talk about what does a recruit come on campus looking like for you?
Yeah, it's changed so much over the years. And this is not pro ball, don't get me wrong, but I think you hit it on the head. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. Kind of along those lines of if you have your opportunity, we're going to find you. Division III baseball is not a step down. It's not something to settle for. It's crazy now. The recruits are all, I'm not a big guy, but I rely heavily on my recruiting coordinator and assistant coaches. And when they come in and I meet them, these kids are big. They're big. They throw hard. They run fast.
The game's more physical at all levels, right? Yeah.
It is. I was thinking about it today, when we first started, even I would say about 7-8 years ago, Division III, you're usually like a right-handed pitcher. You're like, okay, if he's breaking 80, we can get him to hopefully 84, 85, mid 80s by the time he's done. A lefty, if he's upper, 78, 77. Hopefully we can get them to low 80s, here in a couple years. And now they're coming in already there. And usually with really good secondary pitches as well. So it's changed. Our team last year we had like probably 7 of our everyday starters that went on our conference championship team last year were transfers. This year we didn't recruit or go after any transfers because the freshman class last year and the sophomore class last year, we could tell like in a normal year, they would be on the field, but they were just behind guys who won 31 games the year before and really didn't do anything to come out of the lineup. And that's why we're going pretty young this year, and I don't think we've missed a beat. There's something to say about experience, and when you have a young team, some days you look like the best team in the country, and some days you look like you can lose to anybody. But we've been trying to shrink that consistency, and we're really loving we're calling it the youth movement. We do have some very, very important contributors and leaders that have been there for all 4 years, and we've got a 6th-year guy that transferred for grad school, and a 5th-year guy that came in from a Division I. But top to bottom, the talent is there. So again, I rely on my coaches to find the talent, and then from there it's just all relationship building. Because if the guests can get anything out of this, if you want to win games, you just throw a lot of talent out there. If you want to win championships, you've got to be a team that has everybody going in the same direction. And like, we're looking for guys who love to practice, not like practice, not only like games. They love to practice. They love to be in the weight room. They get good grades. So we're looking for people once we find the.
So, Mike, let's touch on that a little bit. How about love to practice? What is high school player coming on campus, freshman in the fall? Tell me about what the process looks like because they don't know, right? Freshman comes on campus, they've got 24 hours of practice. Is that 24 days? I'm sorry. So kind of fill us in a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so we get 24 days with the coaches. They work out on their own a lot, but 24 days with the coaches, and there's no hour limits on those days. So we use the fall. We try to spread it out. We want to be with them as long as possible. So we usually go about 11 weeks, 2 to 3 days a week. And we do a ton, like, be ready to go live when you get to college. We inter squad a ton in the fall. We try to implement our team concepts, but we want to see what guys
I'm going
can
to stop
do
you right there,
competing
Mike,
against each other. Yep.
because what you just said is so important. Be ready to go in the fall. And that's one thing that you try to instill in these high school kids. Play in a summer league. If you have the opportunity to play in a college summer league and get used to the speed of the game, that obviously is important. But also you're playing because you just said exactly what we try to tell. You're going to start inter squatting right away, big guy, and first impressions go a long way, just like anything in life. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's our biggest time to evaluate because once we get back from winter break and go into the spring, we only have about 2.5 weeks from our first practice to our first game. And once we hit games, it's, 3, 4 days a week until the season's over. So obviously we are practicing during the week, but we're really just trying to refine things to get prepared for our next game once we get there. So it's huge. You need to be ready to go, and playing summer ball, I think, is super important. And I don't care what the level is. You need to be competing. I think that guys find out real good, real quickly, and we have to look at this too. Like, training in a facility is great. Going live against your friends is great, but it's different than even playing Legion or even playing in a men's league. It's different, and a lot of guys look great in a facility, but to win games you have to be able to throw strikes with multiple pitches, and there's only one way to replicate that, and that's getting out there and playing games.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And what I know we do is we try to get all our guys into a collegiate summer league. We have a few of them here in Florida, If they're out of the state of Florida, then there's different ones we can help place as well, because it's just, you got to play. And when you hit the ground running in September, whether it's a JUCO, D1, D3, D2, whatever it may be, NAIA, you're going to start inter-squatting. And inter-squatting is where battles are going to be won or lost, like you said, or at least getting yourself up on the depth chart from that point of view. So I'm glad you brought that up. One thing I want to touch on here that most people don't understand is what is a recruiting timeline? You're a high school player. For example, I'm a 27. Is now about the time, or is it too late, too early? Like, I have my thoughts on that, but I want to hear from the horse's mouth, from the head coach. Like, what's a good timeline for a player that is potentially targeting a Marymount University?
So for us, we've pushed our recruiting timetable back further and further every year the last couple years. So for 27s, there's some guys that we know we like, and we might try to catch them right now in high school. But our main focus is on our guys right now. And again, we've got goals. We're trying to go all the way this year. We're in the middle of it. So pretty much all of our focus is with our team right now. But once our season ends, we'll get out to, regional games, district games, state games, see guys playing in college or in high school. But our philosophy, and it worked really well for us last year, was more of this summer, let's see as many players as we can and start collecting data, building relationships, not even worried about getting them on campus in the summer.
So for the out of town player, right? Because you're when you're out recruiting, you're going to be doing that regionally based. Obviously, there's a cost component to recruiting that most people don't understand. I've lived it. You're living it, right? Things cost a lot of money, getting out and traveling, hitting the road. So I'm a player from Georgia. I'm a player from Louisiana. I'm a player from Florida. How do I get myself in front of Marymount University? Is it the best way through camps? Is it sending videos? Is it a combination of both? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it's a combination of both, but being on campus in front of the coaching staff is the best thing that you can do at their camps. The way we run our camps is we do a shortened practice of what we do, and then we play live games. After we do all the metrics, but we take them through an hour and 15-minute Marymount practice because we want to see how they work in our system. And you can't do that watching them at a showcase. You can evaluate, all right, this kid can play. You can start the relationship, talking to them. But getting on and again, we have to be realistic. Like, if I really want to go to UVA, but I'm more of a Marymount player, then I probably shouldn't be paying $1,000 at some huge school if it's not realistic. You know what I mean? I'm not saying go out and just go to any camps. Now the great thing is a lot of the bigger schools will have multiple schools there, but we like to run ours more in-house, and really show the players what we do on a daily basis and evaluate from there. It's way better for players to get to actually know the coaching staff. This is a two-way street. It's not just about the coaches liking players. Players, like, you got to like your coaches. Like, these are the guys that you are going to be making decisions that impact your life for the next 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
You want to have a really good relationship with it's usually the assistant coaches, the guys you're going to be working with day in and day out at your position. But these are we're the people that are going to, again, help mold you for life, but we're going to be making decisions that you will like or won't like, that impact your playing in your future. So you definitely want to have a good relationship with your coaches.
I know one thing for us is when we are big believers in the school camp setting, and for our players, our clients, and there's a reason for that, and you touched on that, because it's going to allow you a couple of different things: assimilate into a potential practice, obviously see the campus, but the other key component here is it allows everybody to meet each other, both player and coach and family, and there's got to be some sort of connection. Unless, look, there are times where there's just no time for that. It's August. It's the senior who just decommitted from somewhere and he's got to find a JUCO. Those are outlier situations. But in a normal recruiting timeline, we want our players to be able to meet a coach and meet a Coach Cassidy and his staff, and for them to meet him to make sure is this a good fit for the next 4 years, right? Number one, can I get on the field and let me look around. Can I get on the field? And we know today you better have some sort of value as a freshman, some sort of value to bring to the table at any level that you go onto the field with. You can't wait too long anymore for a guy to develop at all different levels. And then the actual in-person meeting, right, is there's got to be some sort of connection. And that's where, going to a camp at a Marymount University, if we're going to send a player to a camp at a Marymount University, you and I are probably going to have had one of your coaches, some sort of communication. Do you have any interest? If you don't, no worries. There's only one person who matters in that equation of, but do you have any interest? It's the coaching staff. That's it. So if you do, okay, let's talk to the family and see if it's feasible schedule-wise, time-wise, all their fault to get up there for a particular camp. Because now you're kind of going up with a little bit of a bullseye on your back. Like they're going to evaluate you, you're going to evaluate them, and you're going to evaluate the campus and meet with admissions and finance and all that type of stuff that goes along with it potentially as well. So huge believers in the individual camp. And I think for out-of-town parents, for parents and players and families who don't know what Division III baseball is all about, this is why I wanted you on. You guys are uber successful. Like I said, I know at one point you guys were ranked number one in the country. You've done it. Your roster is represented from all over the place. You have players from all over the country on your roster. You've got your high school guys, your transfer portal guys. You've had successes with both. But I was alluding to the fact, when we had one of our first guys go up to the Northeast and played a really good program, Division III program, and when he came back after his freshman year, and for him to say, like, hey, man, I got a lot of work to do. Like, these guys are really good. And I think, you're talking to a former JUCO coach who I would recruit somebody and they would give me that sideways look like, I'm better than you guys. And all I would say is, have you ever seen us play? Like, we had 16 drafted. This is back in the draft and follow days, so it's a little different. But we had 16 drafted players on our roster, 24-man roster. We're pretty good. And the team we played, they had 16 as well. Like, they're pretty good too. There's a lot of good baseball played all over the country. I think the game itself has been elevated, right? There's fewer opportunities at levels. So what does that do? It creates more of a supply at all different levels. And the demand's still the same, but the supply is greater. So if you're a high school player out there looking and you're going into your senior year, because that's kind of a timeline that, a school like a really good program at a really good institution in a really cool location like a Marymount University, their process is going to start in the summer. And if you can't get in front of them, maybe you're not a mid-Atlantic region-based travel team or playing in a tournament up there, then you find ways to get in front of programs like this, like a Marymount University, whether it's sending some video, or you have someone like us, or you're going to go to a camp or something along those lines, because you're still okay with the timeline. And it's not time to panic yet. And you still have potentially some opportunities that, programs are still going to be looking for players. So I think that's, something that we kind of stress. What kind of advice can you give if you're the parent of a 27 and the process hasn't really kicked in for you fully for whatever reasons? What kind of advice as a head coach at a really elite Division III program would you have for players and families that are 27s? And then then we can translate that for the next year, the 28s will become those 27s and so on. So let us know.
Yeah.
Let me tell me about that.
Don't pay attention to what everybody else is saying. It's just, social media can be a really good thing, but it can really hamper your progress when you're paying attention to things that most of the time aren't even true. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own path, and that happens at different times for people. And the best advice I ever heard, and I use it all the time, is you're looking to find a school that you could be at for 4 years if you didn't play baseball.
Right.
Because you want, I talked about our team culture and we're disciplined and blah, blah, blah. Dude, we have fun. Like, this is supposed to be the best experience of your life. We want our guys coming out saying, I loved playing baseball at Marymount. Like, we had fun. We were locked in, we worked hard, but we had fun. You're not going to have fun if you go to a location. You might love the baseball, but it's going to be tough to have fun for 4 years if you're in a location that you really don't enjoy. So I think going back to the going to camps or going to universities, the big thing for us when you come to a camp at our place, the families usually come up and stay for a few days, and they get to see the surrounding area. And you get to see the places that the restaurants and things that you're gonna go out to when you're a junior and senior, when you're not just on campus all the time. You're gonna see that you can jump on the metro and go catch a Nats game, or go to a Skins game, or what a Caps game, whatever you want, and along with all the businesses and the government work and things like that. You really get to see, do I want to go to a school that's a country school? Do I want to go to a city school? Do I want to be on the East Coast? Do I want to be on the West Coast? This is all things that factor in your decision. We're very lucky because we have the best of all worlds. Like, if you want to be on our main campus, it's very slow paced. It's very calm. And then we have another campus, like in our city campus, 5 minutes down the road, where it's a miniature DC. And then if you want to get even more high paced, go across the river and you're in DC. So you got something for everyone, but you really want to make sure you're making a decision. Baseball is probably going to be your number one decision if you're serious about this. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, but there's other factors, and you want to be happy where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Mike, probably one of the last two questions I'm going to ask here, or ask you to answer, is you get a million emails a week, your staff does, we know you do. Give me something what's an attention grabber for you in an email? Is it the subject line? Is it a short video? Is it a combination of both? Because you guys don't have time to sift through everything. It's impossible. So I'm little Joey, and I'm going to write an email to Coach Cassidy and staff. What do I need to do to grab his attention? Because I feel like, let's just say I've seen him play. I feel like I can play and help these guys win ball games. What should I put, in my subject line? Should I include a short video, that type of thing? What do you look for?
I want creativity. I mean, Mike, you're a scout. Like, you don't want robots out there, right? I feel like the best guys on the field have a little creativity, and they play like themselves. They play with their personality. So very important. Always start off the email with something individualized to that school. So, and then get creative with it. We
Showing
can
you've done a
always
little
we can almost
research, right?
Yeah, we can almost always tell if it's a copy and paste. You can almost always tell. You can always tell if a lawyer wrote the email, mom and dad, versus a kid writing the email. Um, and you don't want that. Again, this is a 4-year journey. Like, we want guys who are going to be independent. We want guys that are going to be accountable. We want guys who are going to um, enjoy fighting through adversity and doing things on their own, figuring things out on their own. So, something as simple as saying, Coach Cass, congratulations. Well, if you call me Coach Cass, and I know you've really done your research, but Coach Cass, congratulations on the second title in Marymount history last year. You know, you know,
Shows an
anything
interest level. Yeah.
particular, like recent and particular to our program, and then start giving all the normal stuff that you normally would. And videos, like, my guys were all paid to evaluate players, right? We're paid to coach and paid to evaluate players. We don't need to see a 10-minute video. Usually tell after a couple swings, after a couple throws, if this is something, okay, this is interesting to me. But yeah, something individualized, something personal to that program. All of our guys, all of our coaches put way more work into our players than is asked of us. Is who we are. So it always feels good when somebody reciprocates that, putting some extra effort into it.
That's what makes you guys successful, is that effort level on your part as part of the core ingredient. if you had to say, and I want to end this before we wrap this up, there's a last question I'm going to ask you. I know it's a busy time. You get the conference, the playoffs, and everything coming up, and obviously we want to see Marymount win a national championship here in South Florida. Got a couple Florida boys on that team, so that'd be really cool. Give me one, it's hard, but give me one non-negotiable trait that a player has to have to play at Marymount University.
Effort at all times. Effort at all times. And Mike, this is God honest truth, and we're lucky that we're progressing talent-wise and culture-wise in the way our program is now. Guys, I watch Twitter posts, and guys show a single, right? And they think that they did good. They did good. Great job, single, right? But they're posting themselves jogging around first base. They're instantly off my list because
Love it.
They're done. You know, because there are players out there that you don't have to tell to hustle, to go hard. They just love it. They want to do it. They do it all the time. And you're going to look at their video and you're going to see a hard turn. Like, that's just something simple that I tell our coaches, look for that on Twitter, because everybody's posting their stuff on Twitter. And I think it's kind of hampering some guys. Like, effort's non-negotiable, because there's going to be some good times and there's going to be some really bad times. And the best way to come out of the bad times is when something bad happens, you instantly use energy, positive energy, to get through that play. So
I love it. That's great. Parents, players, you heard it from the head coach. That's a controllable. You can control your effort. You can't always control your success, and we talk about this. I've learned in this position, as the guy running this recruiting advising company, we spend a lot of time on the phone on the consulting side, the talking to players, not just about the recruiting part. That's actually the least we do. It's more about this type of stuff. You're going to go through, your kid calls and he's going through a bad time. Control the controllables, punctuality, effort, all those types of things, and everything else will take care of itself if you put the work in. Parents, players from everywhere, I hope you've learned a lot about Division III baseball. You got a chance to meet one of the most successful coaches in Division III baseball. Do your research on Marymount University. Maybe one day that's a good, you determine and they determine, because it takes two, that maybe this is a potential fit for you. This is it's why I wanted to bring on Coach Cassidy, because of the type of program that he runs, and then hearing what type of person he was when Coach Fulton. I mean, you cut your teeth with Coach Fulton. You're a baseball guy, and you got to be a good guy as well. And I knew that, so I always knew that we'd be able to develop some sort of trustworthy relationship moving forward. And I was, when I came up with the idea, I'm like, we're going to start doing different levels. But I know Division III, I'm going after one guy to see if he'll come on board. We just got to make sure it fits his schedule because they're busy. Coach Cassidy, thank you. Parents, Marymount University, look them up, educate yourselves. There's opportunities that you never thought of at the Division III baseball level, and the quality of baseball is as good as it's ever been, and it's going to continue to get better. And a place like Marymount, with the opportunities that come within that surrounding area, like Coach Cassidy talked about, it's just it's what you use the game for, right? To help yourself in life. So, Coach, thank you very much for taking the time out during a busy postseason run time of year. We wish you guys, nothing but the best. Hope you guys make a deep as you can postseason run. And thanks again, Coach. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Very grateful to be on here, Mike. And if you guys ever want any advice, questions, or anything, just go to our website. My email's right on there. I try to get back to as many people as I can. So, but I'm just truly grateful to be on here.
Give us the Marymount website real quick.
If you just Google Marymount Baseball, it's going to come up Marymount Saints. But if you Google Marymount Baseball, it'll pop right up.
Perfect. Go Saints. Best of luck, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on this week's edition of the Recruiting Roundtable. Join us next time as we continue to guide athletes and their parents on the recruiting process, on and off the diamond.